When we're talking about social media, if you are living a great life, a really great life, a life that most people can't live, you are going to attract vegans and countless non-vegans. Probably one of the best things you could do in terms of activism is get very rich and famous, live it up, and influence your tens of millions of followers to go vegan. I'm striving to do that. Hello everyone. On today's adventure of living our best life, we're taking the floaty in the ocean.
You know, this is why I switched to pickup artist stuff, because as soon as I am honest with a girl, there's no game involved. As soon as I'm straight and like straightforward with a girl, it never works out for me. But when I play some game, it works out great, and I hate that. I hate being a manipulator. I hate having to fucking play a stupid game. And like some of my friends, they're just like really handsome or whatever, and they don't ever need to try, you know? Like they got natural game or whatever. But for me, it's like, well, when you're fat, it's like playing the game, the dating game on hard mode, you know? You can still do it, but you're gonna put in a lot more effort, you know? And anyway, that really hurt. You know, that really hurt. Like, that was like the worst thing that I've heard in a while. And then we went to like a movie, and it was cool. It was nice. But, you know, the third time, I was like, hey, let's hang out. And like, yeah, she was dodging me. She just said like, oh, I'm busy. And I'm like, you literally just said you haven't been busy for months. I'm just like, oh, wow. You got busy really quickly, huh? Anyway, I tell her, I was like, okay, like trump card, there we go. Hey, why don't we spend Christmas together? Because Christmas is a couple's day. And she immediately sends me back a message being like, you know, I told you this when we broke up, but I see you more as like a family member, or like, you know, somebody who I really care about, but I'm not interested in romantically. And I'm like, oh, bam. At the same time, I like, if I want to go on adventures with people, I gotta lose some weight, you know? I've been talking about losing weight forever. And I'm like, you know what, like, one of the reasons I'm going to the ADHD pill doctor right now is to get those pills, because like, I have been, for the most part, been being a good boy. Like, I still only eat once a day or whatever, but I am drinking a lot of my calories with soda and everything like that. And I know that if I have these ADHD pills, they not only help me think clearly, but they're also appetite suppressants. So I'm gonna just show her like, look, I lost some weight, I got some better views on YouTube, and it's not like I need her approval. I just want her to know. I just want her to know that I did this, like, you know, just to be like, because she saw me recently. She knows that like she knows that I'm fat. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't want to lose weight just to get her approval, but I want to see, I'm like, I have an actual deadline now. I'm like, okay, I got some time before Christmas. Let's do this. Let's try to make this happen, you know? I mean, that's what I try to tell Mark, though. I'm like, he's never studied pickup artist stuff. And if he had tried pickup artist stuff, he knows that it's just a numbers game. It's just a numbers game, and also you can't let all this rejection get to you.
Like, I can't tell you how many weeks I spent over the last few months researching for somewhere to live in Bali and in Australia that was in my price range, because almost nothing was in my price range. And so I'm trying to like save $25 a week here and there, and I'm spending hours and hours on this every day for weeks. If I was a little bit more comfortable, I could have focused on a lot more productive things for the animal rights movement.
We grow up as children, entertained by glittering images of adults, and we find in these appealing illusions ideas about a possible future that we might live ourselves, models for the type of adults we ourselves might one day want to be. As children, we find role models even in movie villains, not just movie heroes. Little girls pick up their father's copy of Playboy or of the Victoria's Secret catalog and embarrass and horrify their parents by saying, that's what I want to be when I grow up. And little boys see movies about serial killers and find in them role models also. This is a very fundamental human instinct. Some of us overcome it in later years, and some of us hold on to this habit of mind, right? And whether we look at Instagram or we look at YouTube or we read the most refined philosophical and political literature imaginable, we continue to find in those sources glittering images of someone we wish we could be. I think it's natural that a great deal of the response to and criticism of James Aspey focuses on this gap between the illusion and the reality. But for the purposes of this video, although interesting, that's a distraction from the major theme I want to discuss here. Okay, and there is a gap. There is a gap. You just heard him explain to you that he aspires to present himself on Instagram and on YouTube as a multimillionaire, as leading a multimillionaire's lifestyle. And you heard him say also that he just spent several weeks scraping the bottom of the barrel to try to save $25 a week on rent because he can't afford to stay in a nice hotel. He can't afford to rent an apartment. He can't afford to stay in an Airbnb. He's telling you that his form of political activism, as he understands it, is to project this appealing image of himself as living a multimillionaire's lifestyle. And at the same time, he's asking for your donations. He's asking for your support and your help so that he can live that lifestyle. That is fundamentally fake because he literally can't afford to pay his own rent. And on the other hand, as he himself has said many times, don't quote him, he does not want to buckle down and work a normal job. He wants to devote all of his time to this very strange social role of being the purveyor of an illusion, of an idealized adulthood, somebody you might want to be. I think what we ought to be directing our attention towards instead is the gap between the creator of that illusion and the consumer, right? We all know who's selling, but who's buying and why. Now, I am a content creator myself. I am, to a very real extent, a creator of and a purveyor of illusions myself. It's very easy, if you are a creator, to only relate to and care about other creators and to imagine your audience as if they consisted of people who are in that same category with you who just happen to not upload to YouTube and Instagram. It's very easy, if you're a fitness YouTuber and who posts pictures of themselves shirtless on Instagram, to only be paying attention to, only listening to, only getting feedback from other fitness YouTubers, other half-naked Instagram icons. Those are the people you may be emulating, competing with, communicating with, right? Those are the direct messages you respond to. And you start to think of your audience in that same way, as if they relate to you the way that you relate to your own competition or your own colleagues in that category of content creators. And that's not true at all. That's not who's buying. Bread is not delicious. Bread only tastes delicious when you're starving hungry. It's people like Tikyo Sam, who I quoted there, who are buying these illusions. It's people who are desperately trying to lose weight and failing that become the followers of someone presenting them with this promise of a person they can be and a lifestyle they can lead. It's people who have utterly failed to have this kind of seemingly stable relationship with someone else who's not afraid to walk around 9/10 naked in public, someone who's objectively in good physical shape. It's people who yearn for that. It's people who lack that, right? They, out of their pathos, become your followers. You are, in a very real sense, exploiting their misery and their failure, even though from your perspective, you think you're just sharing your success, and most of what you hear back, most of the voices you care about, are other people in the same sales department, generating and selling similar illusions on the internet who are giving you the thumbs up and saying, good job. Hey, I liked your video at the beach. I just did one myself in Hawaii. Oh, hey, I liked your cooking video. Oh, hey, I noticed you're now selling a pair of track pants along with your t-shirts. Check out my shop. I did this. Oh, tell me, who did you get to make those track pants? I'd like to do something similar. Right? It's very easy to have this kind of selective blindness to who your audience really is, because the people you're communicating with are other content creators in the same categories who share your same assumptions of convenience. I did 210 push-ups yesterday, and I went for a very nice walk with my girlfriend down to see the ocean hand in hand. Imagine how different my YouTube channel would be and how different my relationship to my audience would be if that was exactly what I had filmed, exactly what I had carefully edited and then presented both here on YouTube and on Instagram. Us cooking, us smiling and walking hand in hand, perhaps us seeing the ocean and the setting sun. This can be done, all right? There are sides of my life that I consider shallow and meaningless, but that are in a sense ripe for the same kind of exploitation that James Aspey engages in with his own life. Now, why don't I do that? It's not just that it's no good for me and no good for my girlfriend. I actually sincerely believe that it's no good for my audience. What's remarkable and worth knowing about my life with Melissa is not how she looks in a swimsuit or how we might look together hand in hand by the sunset, filmed at just the right angle. It's much more meaningful for you to know that I'm in a relationship with someone who read Aristotle, that I'm in a relationship with someone who read Thucydides, and that she read those books with me, and that we learned that stuff together, and that whatever it is we're reading and whatever it is we're discussing, day by day and day after day, we are learning about history and politics and philosophy and languages together. Not only would I say that the books I read yesterday are more meaningful than the number of push-ups, I would even go so far as to say the books I didn't read yesterday, the books I haven't had time to read, the ideas about the future, the research projects, the reading, etc., that Melissa and I have talked about doing but didn't get to doing, even that is much more worthy of discussion and sharing with the audience than the details of what we ate, how much exercise we got, or Hallmark card style romantic occasions such as walking along the beach together. But my point in this video is not about keeping it real. My point is not about closing the gap between that illusion and reality. My point is to question, if this is the illusion you're creating, who's buying? Really think about who it is that lacks what you're selling and what the impact is going to be on their lives of you creating and sharing this illusion. I'm trying to share with my audience the most profound and most meaningful parts of my life, including the most meaningful aspects of my relationship with my girlfriend, including the fact that she's someone who came into my life and immediately became like another mother to my daughter, has this meaningful relationship with my whole family, has this positive role in my intellectual life, in my creative life. I'm trying to share that with you. But in so doing, I'm also concealing all kinds of shallow things that are equally real. I really did do over 200 push-ups yesterday. We really do go for walks on the beach, right? It's not the difference between reality and illusion. There's a role of selection here, and what you end up with, no matter how honest you are, is nevertheless a kind of illusion. And it is possible, genuinely, that James Aspey has another much more meaningful side to his life that he has concealed to us. That because he is on this benighted mission to try to market himself as a millionaire while being flat broke and asking for donations, that while he is trying to feature and put forward this unbelievably shallow life, It's certainly possible that he has read several books in the last few months and that he could have some kind of meaningful discussion about what he's been reading. I actually do not presume that what James Aspey is sharing with the public on social media is all that he has to share. No, I think he is consciously and intentionally making this decision as part of the money-making venture he has already described to you in his own words. The problem is who's buying. Water has no flavor at all when you've already had enough to drink. And when you're starving and thirsty, it's the most delicious thing in the world. There are people who are so starved for self-esteem. There are people who are so starved for human love and affection that they look up to and worship people like James Aspey and thousands of others who are playing the same game. There are people who are so starved for any sense of hope in their own careers, in their own economic situation, so starved for the possibility of one day just taking a beach vacation that they reach out for and yearn for these illusions that he's presenting on the internet. And that is the type of influence he is trying to yield as a so-called social media influencer. And the most tragic part of this analysis of all is, I know I can't escape from the same formula myself. No matter how erudite or morally uplifting I may feel my relationship with my girlfriend is, if I commodify it in this same way, who is going to reach out for it? It's going to be people who precisely are lacking those same things, the equivalent things in their life that I am presenting to them that I have in abundance.
And so I'm trying to save 25 bucks a week here and there. And I'm spending hours and hours on this every day for weeks. If I was a little bit more comfortable, I could have focused on a lot more productive things for the animal rights movement.
James, what if you're never going to be comfortable enough? James, if you're watching this video, ask yourself seriously, in the last 5 years, were you never financially comfortable enough to take that next step you keep talking about, you keep hinting at, you keep alluding to? And from our perspective, for us sitting in the audience watching, do you think we perceive you as someone who has just not been financially comfortable enough to take that next step, to start taking activism seriously? I know that from your perspective, you just need the audience to support you a little bit more so that you can live this millionaire rock star lifestyle that you think will empower and enable you to change the world. But I'm asking you to see it from our perspective, because you keep saying, if only people could donate more money so that you could be a little bit more comfortable, there's this tremendous change you could make. And from the audience perspective, it's reasonable to say, this man will never be comfortable enough. If he's living a millionaire lifestyle, he's going to want donations so he can lead a multi-millionaire lifestyle. If he's eating with a silver spoon, he's going to be out here looking for money so that he can upgrade to platinum, and if not that, then gold. James, if you're watching this video, I want to ask you, honestly, what if you will never be comfortable enough? What if you will never have enough fame? What if you will never have enough money to suit yourself? You have put yourself in a position where it never can be enough. You're trying to compete with some of the richest and most beautiful and most shallow people in the world so that you can present an illusion so glittering, so appealing to the hopeless and brokenhearted of the earth that you become, in your own eyes, an influencer.